What should you do when your cancer treatments stop working? Hi, I'm John Rose. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be a really important video today because in order to understand the answer to that question, we have to understand the answer to a lot of questions. In fact, we actually have to understand how the world works. Who's controlling the educational system so that our doctors can't find a cure for cancer? And what is cancer? What causes cancer? Do cancer treatments even work? What is the purpose of cancer treatments? To answer that last question, you have to understand who rules the world and how they do it. I've talked about this a lot in other videos. Hopefully this will be the very first video you've ever seen and you're contemplating on whether or not you need to take these treatments. Hopefully you're hearing this before you are taking the treatments and not now that the treatments aren't working, supposedly. What do I do? We have to understand, folks, right off the bat that cancer is the end stage of disease. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's something that we created ourselves in most cases based on the things we were doing day in and day out over and over and over. But to really understand what this is all about, you really do have to understand who's behind the curtain, so to say. Who's pulling the strings? Who is controlling what doctors learn and nutritionists learn and historians learn? There's a small group of people, folks. Watch the Thrive documentary. They point out we investigated 12 major sectors of human endeavor. Follow the money. We found out it was the same people on the same board of directors that are controlling every major sector of human endeavor so they can control us. And everything in our society of any significance has everything to do with our health, or more specifically lack of health. And that's the one thing that powers that be have to control. Health is the ultimate tool of control. We are sick and maintain our sickness by design. Once we got sick, the sickest of us started exploiting the sickness in us and are perpetuating the sickness. And they do it by controlling our so-called experts in health. They've controlled the shaman and doctors for a long time, folks. Our doctors are not our experts in this. That's why they don't know the cause of cancer. That's why they don't have any solutions. That's why their treatments in themselves actually cause cancer. They're carcinogenic, and we know that. The powers that be, folks, are sick. They're psychopaths, they're con artists, they're magicians, they're masters of illusion. And they turned our so-called experts in medicine into magicians too. It's a big magic act. That's why they can't even figure it out. They don't know the cause of cancer. They have no idea that their cancer treatments are actually causing the problems. And that the real purpose of cancer treatments is to make us sicker. And to drive home my point, I've talked about the speech that Dr. Russell Trawl gave in 1861 to the Smithsonian Institute, about 5,000 people, a lot of politicians. He was pleading with these so-called authorities, saying, look, as a soldier, as a doctor in the Civil War, more people are dying on the battlefield in the war, not because of the wounds they received, but because of the medicines we're giving them because they're living in filth. Remember, measles and smallpox and these types of diseases are diseases of filth. And even Napoleon said that doctors will have more lives to answer for in the next world than even we generals. We generals are killing them with the bullets, but the doctors come in, they're living in filth, they get measles, they give them a drug for that. This is what Russell Trawl was saying. We give them a drug for the measles, they end up bleeding into their lungs, hemoptysis. We give them drugs for that, they develop consumption, typhoid, they die of consumption. We know it's by design, folks. Dr. Russell Trawl even pointed out that younger doctors, they'll have 25 new drugs for one disease. We older doctors know that for every drug, we got 25 diseases. It's by design. Even the Bible points this out in Revelation 18:23. For by sorceries were all nations deceived. Sorceries, look up that word. It's pharmakeia. It's black magic. It's drugs that give the illusion that they're healing the body just because they interfere with the body's communication process. So, according to the people who rule the world, these drugs are working. They're doing exactly what they want them to do. They want to make us sick, make sure we don't get healthy, and they also want to rob all of our money. take all of our money before we die. Do you guys know that chemotherapy is the only drug that any doctor can actually buy wholesale from the drug manufacturer and then mark it up a whole bunch? That's why every oncologist wants you to do the chemo. You got to do chemo. I'm not going to just make money off your visits and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to buy this stuff for $7,000, charge you $12,000, $5,000 a pop profit. Yoo-hoo! Yeah, we're going to need to do some treatments. Oh, your treatments aren't working anymore. They never did work to begin with. That's the whole point. Chemotherapies do not work. Their success rate is like 7%, which in effect it translates to a 93% failure rate. They don't work to begin with unless we realize what they're really intended to do, and that's to make us sick, so they're working from that point of view. But the way we think of it, they're not working because they're not healing us. We do chemotherapy and the cancer spreads. Doctors are so clueless, folks. And you can become enlightened if you have cancer, or to avoid cancer, to figure out what to do. You have to realize that cancer is the end stage of disease. The body goes through 4 main stages dealing with things inside of it. It doesn't belong inside of us. First 2, the body's trying to get rid of it. That's the inflammations, the ulcerations. Then the body goes through 2 periods where it's trying to protect itself. There are indurations, and then the last stage is where the body encapsulates it, creates tumors and cysts and fibroids and nodules, calcifications, to try to encapsulate bad stuff to make sure it doesn't hurt the body. These are what tumors are, folks. Now, tumors can either be cancerous or non-cancerous. It all depends on how much bacteria you have. Because our body's nothing but a bunch of cells, and we have 2 main fluids. Blood has the delivery trucks coming from our digestive system to feed the cells. The lymph system has dump trucks that take the waste matter from the cells and gets it out of the body. And then the kidneys have to filter all of these systems. And when the kidneys aren't filtering, the lymph system doesn't get filtered. The bathroom for our cells doesn't get filtered. It can back up into the tissues and create these 4 main stages. And then sometimes it'll just create a big mass of lymph fluid. And now, when our cells eat, they eliminate 3 pH. That's 50,000 times hotter than our blood. There are bacteria inside of our lymph nodes that are just like bacteria inside septic tanks. And they do the same thing bacteria does everywhere on this planet. They have a job. They're the cleanup crew. They eat up that bacteria, or the waste matter. They convert it from 3 pH to 6 pH, so now it's not so hot. Now, what if your kidneys still aren't filtering? You might have a big mass of lymph fluid, but now it's only 6 pH. That's non-cancerous. But wait a second, this lymph fluid over here, you didn't have enough bacteria to convert that 3 pH to 6 pH. Now you got a big old tumor mass. That's 3 pH, 50,000 times hotter than our blood. When it touches other tissues, it burns it. There's the cancer. What is cancer? Cancer is a damaged cell, a cell that mutates, and what makes it mutate, what damages it? It's on the acid side of chemistry. There's only 2 sides of chemistry, folks. It's on the acid side of chemistry. Our own waste matter comes out 3 pH. And if it's not converted, it's going to burn tissue. So most of our cancer cells that we have, that doctors say are going to spread, if we're not careful, we don't eradicate this quick enough, they don't spread. They're systemic. The acids are systemic. Our lymph system surrounds all of our cells. So a cancer cell doesn't get up from the stomach and move to the lungs. That's not how it works. There's waste matter, acidic waste matter in the lymph system everywhere. Now it's just a matter of whether it goes to one organ or another organ. And then when we're given something like chemotherapy, they say, oh my God, the chemo's not working. The cancer is spreading. The cancer isn't spreading because now you're pouring in 10% diluted battery acid. Remember, our own waste matter is 3 pH. Battery acid is 1 pH, 5 million times hotter than our blood. Let's take some battery acid, let's dilute it by 10%, make it 2 pH, 500,000 times hotter than our blood. Let's inject that into the body and watch the cancer spread. What causes cancer? An acid burn. Where's the acid coming from? Most of it is our own waste matter, but guess what? Chemotherapy is 2 pH. That burns. Radiation burns. Even cell phones are going to radiate you and damage your brain. So we get radiated in a lot of ways, don't we? But when we come down with a disease that's based on an acidic condition, and then be given things that are going to burn us even more, is insane, which then goes to show you that based on what the powers that be are doing, these drugs are never stop working. They're poisoning us on purpose. It's by design to keep us sick. Because They can't exist unless we're sick. And the only way to defeat these sick people is for all of us to get healthy. The whole bill, every one of us has to realize the role we play in being the best that we can be. So, what do you do, folks, when your cancer treatment stops working? Well, a lot depends on how many cancer treatments you've been given. Dr. Max Gerson found out the hard way that in his days, he estimated that 40% of the treatments take about 2 years to get rid of. So if you've had 10 treatments of chemo, you could still have 4 treatments left inside of you. And they only give you 1 a day because they know if they give you too much, it'll kill you. Well, poisons hurt going in just like they hurt coming out. And if we go on a program that solves our problems, meaning we're going to cleanse the body and get rid of things that don't belong inside there, and we get rid of those treatments faster than 1 a day, we can die from it. That's what Dr. Max Gerson found. There for a long time, he didn't even want to take anybody who had already had chemo. But now they know they can modify what they're doing and support the body better and slow down that rate of cleansing and cleanse at a more safer rate so we can finally get rid of the cause of cancer, which comes from the acid side of chemistry. It's not complicated. Disease is not complicated once you understand. It's most of it's auto-intoxication. We got 2 bathrooms. We eat, eliminate. There's 1 bathroom. Our cells eat, they eliminate. There's another bathroom. Keep those 2 bathrooms clean, folks, and you virtually will become disease-proof. Obviously, there are other things that can cause problems. Food is not a panacea. There's other needs we have, and then we have to look at those subsequent causes that don't always go away just because we remove the primary causes, like a tumor, for example. So what do? The chemo's not working. It shrunk the tumor initially. It must have been working, but now it's coming back and it's spreading. That's their definition of what makes it work. We got to shrink that tumor, shrink that tumor. The focus should not be on the tumor, folks. That's our mistake. There is a time and a place where we have to focus on the tumor if it's blocking a blood vessel up to the brain and your blood in your brain doesn't drain and your head starts swelling like a balloon, or you got one in your bile duct and that can kill you. So we know there's a time and a place to be operated on if a tumor is blocking something. But we have to understand what caused the tumor. It's the 4th of these 4 stages of disease where the body's trying to protect itself. What we have to do is very simple. Get out of the body's way. Help it do what it's trying to do. Number 1 thing, we got to stop putting things inside of us that don't belong there. That's where a solid food vacation on juices comes into play for most of us. Now, if you have cancer already, you might not want to go that direction like a lot of people will and want to go the distance, but in the beginning, it's a good idea because most people have got a cesspool in their pipes. And you really can't heal as long as you got garbage inside you, so you really want to focus on cleaning out that 1 bathroom. Take a solid food vacation, folks, on nothing but juices, and you'll be amazed at how long it takes until you stop getting rid of stuff that's horrible, that's inside of it that doesn't belong there. And when we do what it takes to clean that bathroom, then the other bathroom gets cleaned out. And then we can even just simply eat a whole lot of fruit, astringent fruit that will get the lymph system moving. That in itself will help the body reverse these conditions. Read the book, The Grape Cure, where this woman ate nothing but grapes, very astringent, and it got her lymph system moving. Remember, most of our diseases are coming from auto-intoxication. The waste matter in our intestines is backing up, or the waste matter in our lymph system is backing up. Or then it can form a big tumor, a big pool of acid waste, and then burn tissues. Or there could be just so much waste matter in our lymph system that our cells can't get rid of their waste matter. Now we got diabetes, insulin resistant. It's not just the excess fat in your blood that's keeping your body from working properly. We could have too much waste in our lymph system, and now the cells have little cell membranes and antennas on it. They're going, hey, look at our bathroom outside. It's dirtier than us. And I'm inside this body, and I've been given instructions that I'll sacrifice myself for the good of everybody else. So I'll hang on to my waste matter. I'll even die if that's what it takes. So the simple solution for type 2 diabetes, clean out this bathroom, the bathroom around the cells clean out, the waste matter in the cells come out, and the cells say, come on in, sugar. Got some room for you now. It's so simple, it's mind-boggling. But wait a second, John, doesn't sugar feed cancer? You hear that all the time, don't you? Well, when you start hearing people blame sugar for anything, you have to realize there's good sugars and bad sugars if we're going to use that word sugar. The bad ones are the processed sugars, the white sugar, and the crap like that. The sugar that we find, that's simple sugar that's in the fruits, is the food we're designed to eat. So you don't want to have this mentality, I got to starve the cancer by not feeding it sugar. Well, that's tantamount to burning down your house to kill a rat. You burn down the house, it doesn't matter, right? I got rid of that rat. Same thing happens to us. We don't want to use that approach. We have to understand how to build things up instead of knock things down. This is the problem with conventional medicine. It's a war metaphor. Cancer is now an entity and it's attacking us. Our cancer treatments aren't working. We can't kill that entity. It's not an entity, folks. It's a bodily process. We have to understand, once again, what causes it, how to get rid of the root cause, and then we might have to do something to treat it if there are symptoms that are causing problems. If some of our organs have tumors and they're not functioning properly, just like they wouldn't function properly if they were inflamed, which is one of the 5 symptoms, impairment of function, then we might need to support the body on a temporary basis to make sure we give the body everything it needs. This is the only time it gets complicated. I'm going to reference back to a video I did about a month or so ago on what is the healthiest diet for humans. It's about a 59-minute video, almost an hour video long. And I explained in much detail how we have 10 body systems and how stress even enters into this picture. And gives you a better picture of everything. So I'm going to put that down below in a pinned comment and in the description box. Because you guys really need to watch this video in its entirety to get a good concept of the big picture. We want to think holistically, folks. We don't want to look at cancer and tumor as something we have to shrink. And we have to realize that cancer doesn't spread. The causes of cancer is systemic. Our lymph system is part of our interstitial fluid. We got blood, and lymph fluid is the bulk of our interstitial fluid that's surrounding all of our cells. 3/4 of it's the lymph system. And this is what's getting us in trouble, folks. It's backing up, or it's creating tumors and cysts and fibroids. We have to understand that it's not just toxicity, there is deficiency, as Dr. Max Gerson pointed out. All disease based on toxicity and deficiency. To heal, you detoxify and you rebuild. And yes, there are deficiency issues. But it's the auto-intoxication that's really getting us in trouble more than anything else. And there are exogenous toxins and endogenous toxins. So the auto-intoxication is coming from our own waste matter, our own dying cells. But then we're exposed to other environmental toxins. And I know this is so hard for the average person to understand because we are socially engineered to ask our doctor. We're socially engineered to think, oh my God, I got leukemia and the treatments aren't working. Oh, you're going to die, aren't you? Just reminded of social engineering just the other day. I'm reminded every day, actually. I can't go anywhere on this planet and not look around and see how people are socially engineered. But I like to watch movies and get an idea of how they're brainwashing there and trying to figure out when John Rose could enter the scene. I haven't found a movie yet that John Rose couldn't just pop up out of nowhere and add something interesting to the movie. In fact, a lot of movies, it'd be what the whole movie should be about. Like the one I saw the other day, A Walk to Remember. Love story of these 2 high school kids. They fall in love and finally the girl says, oh, I have leukemia, treatments aren't working. And of course she dies shortly. But they got married, fulfilled her number 1 wish that she could get married the same way her mother got married, the same place. And yet here we are being conditioned to think how important the treatments are. In fact, they'll even say treatments aren't working or they don't work rather, in advanced stages of cancer. See how they trick us and fool us? Saying, yeah, if you got to have early treatments, that's just another way to trick us into early treatment so we don't consider that there is a better possibility. That we don't want to pour gasoline on a fire. If we've got a cancerous tumor that says 3 pH, why would we want to pour something in the body that's 2 pH? 500,000 times hotter than our blood. Well, the cancer is an entity. It just came out of nowhere. It attacked me. I've got this cancer. No, you earned your cancer. You did it ignorantly, like most of us do. Most of us aren't taught how to live. We don't know what to eat. We don't know we got these 2 main bathrooms. We don't know that the meat-based diet that's pushed on us is going to damage our kidneys, which will eventually not filter the lymph system, and then the lymph system backs up, and then we get tumors and cysts, and it goes and creates all the inflammations, all of our diseases. We're not taught that. It's done ignorantly. But we can't use this as an excuse once we find this knowledge. The obvious hard part is that this knowledge is hard to find, isn't it? I did a quick Google search before I came out here, and I saw articles on what to do when the cancer treatment stopped working. What do we do if the chemo doesn't work anymore? And then we're fed all these lies saying, don't worry, don't give up. We got other treatment options for you. And then they talk about ending the treatment. And some people really look forward to it because now they're no longer suffer and be in pain from doing the chemo. And the others will actually feel regret that they didn't stick with it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I've never done chemo, but it's not a pleasant experience. It's not hard to imagine what it'd be like to pour battery acid or 10% battery acid solution in us. You know, what the powers that be have done is they have literally turned our hospitals into temples of sacrifice. Long ago, they used to love to just throw us into the fire, but now they do it on a very subtle level. They inject liquid fire into us. That's what chemotherapy is. Liquid fire, we're going to inject it into you. And radiation is pretty much the same thing. We're going to burn you from the outside, coming in with these rays. It's insane, folks. Usually at this point, I start going ballistic. When you stop and think for just one moment of how many people have cancer today and how many of them are suffering because they're given the treatments that are supposedly to heal them, or they've stopped the treatments because they've already gone past the point of return and said, go home and die, prepare for death, not realizing that there's still hope. It's never too late, folks. No matter how much they've done to you, there's still hope. There's still a chance that you can turn your life around. The tricky part now is that if you've had a lot of treatments, you got to be careful about how fast you go. And I sure don't know how fast that is, but you know your body better than anyone else. And if I was in that position, I'd sure try to find someone that could monitor this in some way to help guide me. I don't have the expertise to do so. I feel quite helpless when it comes to people who've had excess amount of chemotherapy, and now they're going to die. Like half the people die who come down with cancer. It's called cachexia. It's a side effect from the chemo. They basically waste away because they've been eating away at their body, pouring this acid into our body. So what do you do when your treatment stops working? It's time to get educated, folks. You got to realize what causes cancer. There's only 2 sides of chemistry. It's on the acid side of chemistry. Are there external factors we have to look at? Many times there are. You could have electric wires, power wires just right behind your home, being zapped by those. We know there's a lot of things that can cause this type of problem. But most of it, the vast majority of it, is auto-intoxication. It's our own uneliminated acidic waste matter that is causing most of our problems. And it's a very simple thing to prove to yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Take a solid food vacation, folks. Drink nothing but freshly made juices. Anywhere from 1 to 2 gallons a day, 4 to 8 liters a day. Give your body everything it needs. Support your organs of elimination. Support your body in case it's damaged in any way, in case some of those organs have tumors or inflammation and they're not functioning properly. We might need to give the body what it's not getting, whether it's thyroxine or insulin or any other type of enzyme, perhaps. That's how simple it is. Be sure to watch what is the healthiest diet in the world so you can understand how all 10 body systems work. Because you could have something wrong with your nervous system. Stress. There's a lot of things that can cause a lot of problems. You might think, I'm eating the right food. And a lot of you aren't, but you think you are. But a lot of you are eating the right food. It is the right food and you're still not getting results. That's why you have to look at all 10 body systems. Watch what is the healthiest diet for humans. I'll put a link down below. And you'll get a better concept of the big picture. And one of the most important things we have to do is realize we can't trust our doctors. In fact, I was watching part of a movie I seen long ago, and this physicist is saying, you know, what's wrong with us? Why can't we do what doctors do? They have accountability. First, do no harm. Well, that's not true. Doctors don't know the harm they do. A lot of them figure it out, but most of them are in a state of denial. They don't want to know what they're doing. But again, this is something that we have to be aware of, that it's our responsibility. No one else can do the things we have to do to get healthy. And the first thing is we got to get educated. We got to realize that we are the ones that did it, and that we are the ones that can change it. And when you take that solid food vacation, that's going to give you a light bulb moment within a week, an aha moment within months. And then you're going to be in a better position to really understand how everything works. Again, folks, we're being engineered to think and act a certain way. It's hard to overcome this. We put a lot of trust and faith in people who don't have any answers. They don't have a success rate. And then they turn around and say, it's not working, like as if it works all the time, and that's not true. The cause of disease is not complicated once you understand that it's a bodily process. It's not complicated once you understand that it's not something we want to interfere and stop, in most cases. It's something we want to help facilitate. If the body's in inflammation mode, the body's trying to get rid of stuff, well, we always want to get rid of stuff, even if it's in the last stage of disease. No matter what stage of disease it's in, we got to get rid of the initial cause. And most of the time, it's that waste matter inside of us. But then there's something that created that waste matter. Was it our mental attitude? Was it stress? Was it the wrong food? Were we not sleeping? What was it? Again, what is the healthiest diet in the world for humans? Not in the world, but what is the healthiest diet for humans? This will help you get a better understanding of the big picture. Because when it comes right down to it, health care is self-care. First step, got to get educated. You got to accept the fact that you did it. You got to accept the fact that that's a good news, not bad news. Because if you did something, you can stop doing something. You don't need to go to somebody to have anything done to you, except in rare cases if you got a tumor in your bile duct, for example. But most of us don't have that. Most of us, all we have to do is satisfy those basic essential needs. Take a solid food vacation. Correct those 5 mistakes on a temporary basis. See what you're missing. Adopt your species-specific diet, where we no longer correct those, where we no longer make any of those 5 mistakes. And this is on a permanent basis. And then we satisfy all of our needs. Our air and our water, our sunshine, exercise, our mental attitude, all these play a role. And I explained this in other videos. I explained it in what is the healthiest diet for humans. So take responsibility. Get excited. Be glad that if you don't have cancer, you're hearing this information now so you can test this idea to make sure it's true. You don't want to wait, folks, till you come down with a diagnosis to say, now let's put it to the test. Put it to the test now. See for yourself that what I've been saying is true. Read the comment section. I've got lots of people right now all around the world doing this, and they're seeing the benefits that come by getting rid of the things that are causing our problems. It's exciting, folks. And the hardest part of this journey is the first step. It's making the decision. So get excited when you finally are in that position and you're ready to make a decision. Make a commitment. Let us know on my YouTube channel. Tell us, like everyone else is telling us, I'm starting my solid food vacation tomorrow, and I'm doing it because I want a treat.